Greetings, friends. It's Jesse here, coming at you with another study. I know it's been a while, because I'm working on my little history lesson and trying to bring that up to the current day and the current state of affairs. But as you all know, I did, a few videos talking about this whole concept of the Trinity and these types of things, and it's a very fascinating study because what it really does is it really challenges us to understand who and what who we are to worship. In the previous videos, I went over the concept of Jesus being literally begotten of the Father. He came out from God. We did some illustrations about the Garden of Eden, with Adam and Eve, and Adam, Adam was created in the image of God. And we went over that aspect that just like Eve was taken out of man, the same concept. If this is an image of God, the same concept happened before the creation of everything, before the angels and these types of things. That the Son was taken out from the Father. Okay. and so really, when it comes down to it, when you want to talk about age-wise, the Father was first, the Son was second. It's just that simple. And there are some that will make the claim that how do you understand these things about that you can't understand, that finite brains and finite minds like ours can't comprehend. And this is what this study is about. Okay, it's going to be about preeminence. Okay, the preeminence of the only begotten Son of God. And it's going to be a shorter study, but it's just going to get the point across that certain things have happened. And the Bible does talk about understanding the deep things of God. But in the midst of those deep things, there are things that we cannot understand, that our finite minds cannot understand. And that goes along the lines of, understanding the nature of God, understanding His wisdom. We can't fully comprehend these things, but there are things that are revealed in the Scriptures that is quite plain and clear. And these are the things that, others are trying to point out. It's not in a sense of saying we have it figured out. It's just the aspect of the identity of what the Father and the Son is. That's what the basic premise of the non-Trinitarians that are out there, okay? At least most of them, the ones that I've come across anyway, they're not trying to say that they have a higher knowledge or a higher understanding than anybody else. They, along with myself, know that we are finite. We are not infinite. We can't comprehend. We are all Jobs here, okay? We can't comprehend how things were done the way they were done, and how God does things in the way He does things. He just does things, and a lot of these things are revealed in His Word. And even those things that are revealed in His Word still we might not be able to comprehend it all. The study of that book, the study of the Bible, is a lifelong pursuit. And that's why some people may be focused on just one topic, and that's the only topic they can be focused on. And that's where their calling is. So, But I'm going to go over this the best that I can. And I'm going to be reading from the King James Version and, off eSword. And what's nice about the eSword version of the King James is they actually give like subtitles within the chapters. And this comes from the main passage we're going to be looking at is Colossians 1:15 through 19. And we're gonna build a little bit off of that. And the section of this chapter is called the Preeminence of Christ. Now, what is preeminence? Well, really, in verse 15, we kind of get our answer, which states, "Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature." Okay. When we look at the word preeminence, it basically simply means superiority, to be first, hence firstborn, to have the preeminence. We know that all authority has been given to the Son from the Father, okay? And these types of things. There's verses that expounds upon that. But it basically means to be first, okay? And in verse 15, you have the definition right there. The preeminence of Christ, the firstborn of every creature. Okay? That kind of gives us a clue of because when we look at that word firstborn, it comes from the Greek G4416 in your concordance, and it means first begotten or firstborn. Okay? There is only one first begotten. And if he is the first begotten of every creature, we're talking everything that was created. Before anything was created, he was the first begotten. That's including the earth, that's including angels, that's including Lucifer, Satan, any of it. That one little verse right there basically explains that. And then we go further, and it states, "For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him." All things were created by the Father, and was created by the Father said that he created all things by Jesus Christ, and they were also created for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So let's not go into a huge word study on the word all. I mean, all simply means all. As I stated, before the foundations of the world, before the angels, the Son came out from the Father. Okay? Or the Son was begotten of the Father before any of this was even created. Any of it. We're talking angels. We're talking, the whole enchilada. Before all things, and by him all things consist. Now, this is the part where either you or me or anybody, we cannot consist and we cannot grasp these things. Because in the Bible, what's the main thing that we can realize is the creation of the heaven and earth. We can't really fully comprehend these things that happened beforehand. There are glimpses of things that happened, and we're going to go over some of those glimpses here in this video. But that's all we're given. And I think for our finite minds, I believe that is enough. We don't need to speculate. Because what is said in the word, that's it. Okay? So anyways, firstborn means first begotten. Okay, and then when we go to John 1:12 through 14, it states, "But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And the Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotton of the Father." This is why he has the preeminence of all things, because he is not only the only begotten, he is the first begotten. That's it. Full of grace and truth. And this is not a metaphor, folks. This is not metaphorical. Just like man was created first, and then the woman was taken out of man, and he called their name, meaning man and woman, Adam. Okay. So in like manner, as in a description of the image, you have the Father, who was first, and then the Son came out from the Father. It's just that simple. That's how simple it is. Now, there are a couple of very unique passages that kind of give us a glimpse of what happened before, in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. Okay? And one of those passages is found in Micah 5:2, and it states, "But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting." That word "goings forth" can be translated as family descent. Okay? When you look at the, like, for example, when you look at the genealogies of Matthew and in Luke, there is something very unique. Okay? Is in Matthew, you have the genealogy that traces Jesus' genealogy as the Son of Man. Okay? When you look at Luke's genealogy, it starts from Mary and goes all the way back to which is the son of Adam, which is the Son of God. That should give you a clue right there. That which was the son of Adam, which was the Son of God. So who came before Adam? Obviously the Son of God was before Adam, now wasn't he? And then God said, "Let us make man in our image." But that's, that's I'm digressing a little bit there, but that's just something to ponder. But when you look at passages in Mark, even though it's a very short little verse, Mark and John gives us Jesus' genealogy. The Father and the Son. The Son was begotten of the Father. In the very first chapters of Mark and the very first chapters of John. It basically explains that. So, in Mark and John, you have the concept of the Father and the Son's genealogy, which is only two, the Father and the Son. And that gives us an example of his sonship to the Father. In Matthew and Luke's genealogy, you have his humanity that is given. Okay? One traces from Abraham all the way up to Matthew's time. The other one traces from Mary all the way back to the beginning. And before the beginning, actually. So, and that's what basically goings forth means. It means family descent. Okay? Who comes first? Who comes second? The Father was first, the Son was second. It's just that simple. The Son was begotten of the Father, the Son came out from the Father, and that's how their family descent stops. And then you have sons of God via creation, the angels, and then you have sons of God via adoption, which is where salvation comes to play. Okay, but there's only one first and only begotten Son of God, and that is Jesus Christ. Now, that word everlasting in Micah 5:2, and also I want to point out that this word, before we get into the word everlasting, that this word going forth actually does mean origin, or a place of going out from. Okay, and where did the Son come out from? He came out from the bosom of his Father, now didn't he? So yes, the Son has an origin. Wasn't created. He was begotten. Okay. Again, all you have to do is just simply really ponder the creation of Adam. If you can understand that, and you can understand the concept of let us make man in our image, the key word is image, you can see, you should be able to figure this out just by that little story there with Adam and Eve. Now the word everlasting. The word everlasting comes from the Hebrew olam, which means, properly concealed. That is the vanishing point. So there is a point where we can study up to, and then after that, generally it's the rest of it is time out of mind. Past or future, that is practically eternity. That's why some of us say that he was first begotten in eternity, because it's time out of mind. We can't comprehend it. But the word reveals to us that it happened. And that's all we need to know. Okay? We're not here trying to figure out how it happened. It just happened. Time out of mind. That's what basically olam means, and that's what everlasting means. World without end. Okay? Vanishing point. Practically eternity. Before time. Okay? And when do we get the first concept of time? In Genesis 1. So if the Son was begotten of the Father before time, what else is there for us to understand? That's all we can understand, is the fact that he came out from God. I'm pretty sure once everything comes to a head and we are in the new heaven and new earth, I'm pretty sure these things will be revealed to us. But for now, we just have to stick with the clear, simple answers that are revealed to us in the Word. And this concept is very simple. It's just, in this day and age, Satan, being the author of confusion that he is, likes to mix the holy with the profane. He has done a very clever and good job of it. Okay? Now, in Proverbs 8:22, we get another glimpse. And this is probably the best glimpse that we have. From 8:22 to 8:31. This is Jesus speaking under the title of wisdom. Okay? And the Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I would have to make a guess and gander that before his works of old was his works of creation. Whether it be the creation of angels and these types of things. That's what it has to mean. I was set up from everlasting. Time out of mind. I was set up from eternity. From the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. And that word brought forth can be translated as firstborn or first begotten. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. This was before all this. He was begotten before all of this. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him as one brought up with him. Then I was by him as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. This is the preeminence. This is the superiority, the authority that the Son has over all the creation. Rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. Okay, so I mean, Proverbs 8 speaks a lot in volume. I mean, it does give us some detail. But again, stick to the detail. This is all we're doing. We're not trying to add anything or take away anything. Those that are starting to come to a knowledge of this truth. Because again, our brains, our minds are finite. We can't comprehend these things. All we see is what's revealed in the scriptures regarding of how the Son was begotten and when. And quite simply, it is before the creation of the earth, it is before the creation of the angels and everything that was created, he was brought forth. And just as Proverbs 30 verse 4 states, who hath ascended up into heaven or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fists? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, the Father? And what is his Son's name, if thou canst tell? So the Hebrew thinking is in the lines of there is a literal begotten Son. That the Father, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one Lord, the Father has a Son. This is Old Testament, folks. So, again, you know, when you really look at these passages and you really look at these verses, this really goes into great detail of just how small. I mean, really, when you really look at these passages that I went over, it just goes into great detail of how small we are. You know, even as I'm speaking to you right now, I can't comprehend these things. Neither am I going to try to comprehend them. The only thing that, you know, can be comprehended of in this is the fact that something happened in the days of eternity, before the creation of the earth, before the angels, before any of it. The Father always was. And he had a Son that came out from him. The only begotten Son of God, whom today we call Jesus Christ, or in Hebrew, if you want to use that name, Yahushua. And that's really all, you know, we can comprehend on this matter. So, I figured I'd come at you with this short little study, and hopefully it may have like kind of erased the speculations that maybe some may have had with other non-Trinitarians or even those such as myself, and the concept of thinking that we have all these great things figured out. And this little study here proves that it is impossible to have all these things figured out. But there is stuff that can be revealed in our lifetime that can direct us to the one true God, that is the Father, and His Son, Jesus Christ. So, until next time, truth be told, truth be known, stay safe, God bless, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.